Well, happy Easter. You'll see I'm all dressed up and ready to go. But there's nowhere to go. And that's quite right, Corley. Stay at home. But some people are even asking whether we should be celebrating Easter at all this year, with all of the grief, with all of the fear that's around, with all of the questions, with all of the concerns, all of the despair. Well, actually, for most people, most of the time, in most parts of the world, that's reality all of the time. Grief and fear, questions and despair. And perhaps we use that as our particular lens through which to view the story of Easter this year. One of my favourite bits in the story that Matthew tells us of this first Easter, this Easter day as Christ comes out of the tomb, is what the angel is doing sitting on the stone. All that talk of angels takes us forwards almost into the book of Revelation. It's like a postcard into and from the future of all that happens at the end of the world. But of course, angels also take us back to the start of the story of Jesus, there at his birth. There were loads of angels around then, weren't there? Gabriel going to talk to Mary and Joseph and pulling in his mates to scare the living daylights, or at least the nightlights, out of a group of shepherds. But today, as Christ walks out of the tomb, the angel is sat down on the stone. I love that image. There he is, having a break, having a Kit Kat. Maybe that was the only Easter egg left in the garage as he went down to the garden that morning. Or maybe there's something more profound at work. His job is done. He's been furloughed. There's nothing left for him to do. You see, angels have been employed since the beginning of the story of humanity, when things went wrong between us and God, in order to keep separate God's reality from our reality. The story of Jesus' birth, which involved those angels, is of making way for someone to come through from God's reality into our reality. And when that person came, it was none other than the Son of God himself, Jesus the Lord, leaving the reality of heaven, God's reality, in order to come to earth, our reality. And now there's nothing for the angel to do. There is no separation between God's reality and our reality. He's just sat on the rock, on the stone, kicking his feet. Or maybe he is actually doing something. Maybe that's why the guards standing by the tomb are pretending to be dead. You touch it. No, you touch it. No, you touch it. I'm not touching it. He's guarding. That stone is never going to be moved back into place. The tomb will always remain open. Christ has walked through, alive, risen, conquering death, with us always. And as we'll see in these days of Easter, as we explore in a new situation with a new lens perhaps this year, so we'll find something of what that means for us, that the tomb is empty. The temptation with grief, with fear, with questions, with despair is to make a home for ourselves in the tomb. But Christ won't allow us to remain there, but will consistently and continually beckon us forwards, inviting us out in order to explore life with him. Perhaps we think that life with God is all about searching for him. Well, what Easter tells us, as the Marys and the disciples will find in due course, is that actually it's not about us searching for God. It's rather about God searching for us. Jesus has left the tomb and is looking for us. And the invitation to us is to allow ourselves to find out that we've already been found by God. Christ comes into the midst of our grief, our fear, our questions, our despair, in order to enfold us with his love, to warm us with his light, and to kiss us with hope. So this Easter, even though there's nowhere for us to go, it is right that we celebrate with alleluias that Christ is risen, because he comes to us in order to give us his life. He shared in our sufferings. Now he invites us to share in his risen life, to know his joy, to know his life, to know his light. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Hallelujah.